All right, so YouTube has officially begun. If you want to go see the replay later. If you're new here, my name is Naima. I'm the founder of the Academy for Womanhood, where essentially we help women grow up and get free and come into their actual power. And one thing I know after working with women almost 13 years, I've been online actually working with women. In November, it'll be 13 years. And what I can tell you is most women do not want their power. Most women don't want it. And what they don't want is the actual responsibility of being powerful. They may want the accoutrements that come with being powerful. Because when you're a really powerful woman, everything that's in your heart, you can begin to bring it forward. Everything that's in your soul, you have the capacity, you have the skill, because a lot of this is skill. You have the willingness, you have the actual space in your system because you do this work here that I want to be talking about today. What exactly is or how exactly does emotional alchemy work? And so, for various reasons, living in a society, right? Living in the consequence of decisions and rituals and conditioning that was laid down long before you and I got here. Okay? Living in the consequence of that, all humans are negatively impacted, and women are impacted in a particular way. Okay? And the primary particular way is some kind of punishment, what could be perceived as punishment if she doesn't behave in the way that the system has been designed for her to behave. Okay. So that punishment could look like being ostracized from her family, being ostracized from just people, right? Because if you're living a regular life, you're going to work, you are, meeting people at work, you are meeting the opposite sex, right? And this all starts from young, right? Even before work, when you're in elementary school, you start to get trained on how to comply, right? How to fit. Like, this is how we act here. This is what's good and right. And this is why perhaps you've read studies that by the time children are about 8, their really hot godlike creativity is for the most part gone, because elementary school just little by little by little by little by little by little, combined with whatever their upbringing is at home, right? Because our parents, grandparents have been under the same system as us and different degrees of egregiousness, right? Because obviously how it looks and feels now is different than how it looked and feel for those of us whose great grandparents lived in Jim Crow, right? And so by the time we get to about 8, we've been in school now. We've been raised in a particular house now. Maybe we've been in the church. By the time at 2 and 3, you were expeditious, effervescent. You believed that the world was yours. You could create. You were naturally creative. You weren't trying to manifest. you know, you asked for what you wanted. You expected to get it. You believed in abundance. You didn't even believe in abundance. You just were abundance. And then little by little by little by little, those of us who are parents, we teach our children scarcity because we picked up scarcity. We want them to get a job, to fit in. We want to look like good parents. And if our children look different than what society's supposed to be like, then how does that reflect on us? And on and on and on and on. So the punishment starts to be, you don't fit in here. So if you don't stop being who you really are, you're not going to have friends. Your parents are not going to love you. You're not going to get a job. No one's going to be your friend in high school. People are going to think you're weird and strange. You're not going to get invited to things. You're going to miss out on resources. Therefore, stop being who you are. Stop being who you really are. Stop asking to get your needs met. Stop expecting these things to happen. Stop saying what you mean. Do not tell the truth. And so all these feels start to feel like punishment to the human biology that one needs to belong, that needs to connect. We need to connect. We need meaning. We need things in our life that are meaningful to us. And we need other human beings in our life who actually see us, who actually know us. And because by the time we get to 8 and creativity has been mostly stripped from us, and then by the time we get through high school, whoa, and then college, if you go to college, it's pretty much a done deal. And so we learn how to find pseudo connection by being fractions of ourselves. So this gets me a job. Okay, so this gets me a man. Okay, so this gets me invited to things. Okay, so this gets me A, B, C, D. This gets me, right? So we build a whole life that to the normal average world with all the other people whose creativity was mostly killed off by age, everybody else who was raised in religion and in the society and went through middle school and high school and with parents who taught them scarcity and fear and smallness to fit with all these same people. Now you look like them, right? Because you've done all the things to look like them. You live in your neighborhood where everybody looks the same, lives the same, feels the same. And if you live in a lot of American households in a relatively new house in the suburbs, you go to the suburbs, all the houses oftentimes look the same, very similar. So it's just look at how we've all done a good job of bending ourselves to fit in. And then we just all quietly sort of keep ourselves in that agreement and call ourselves responsible adults who have done all the adult things. And the reason why there's so much relating online, like mothers can relate to mothers and husbands can relate to husbands, and all this relating online is because you have done what they have done. So you relate to their pain, the pain of the man needs the man cave because he's sick of his wife. Relating to the whole, why doesn't my husband clean up after himself? He's like a child. It's the whole relating to the fact of, well, we know that once a woman has been married for 20 years, she starts to look like his mom. They're no longer having sex. They live in separate bedrooms, and now he wants another woman. How are we able to relate like this? Because all of y'all matriculated through the same system. You agreed to all the same things because the system has been designed this way. And the system has also said you will be punished if you don't comply. You will not get a husband or a wife. You won't get a job. You won't fit in. You won't look attractive. You'll look like a troublemaker. And preemptively, so many stories have been created and deep seated beliefs have been implanted in everybody to make sure that anybody who's out of line, you're not married by 30, what's wrong with you? You're not having kids, what happened to you? You got some daddy issues? You're gonna go travel by yourself? What you don't, what's the problem here? You just have some way of living, thinking, being that doesn't fit with all the people in their uniform houses in the suburbs or all the other friends who went to Howard or, like all the other sorority sisters or frat brothers, or you're not doing it like that. Like, you're weird. And then it starts to bump up against right? And that's when we start getting challenged to be who we are. And so if you are some version of a compliant being, right? Maybe you've done all the right things, right? Maybe you did it, right? You went to college, you got married, you had kids. Maybe you're a grandmother now, okay? Because this stuff spans generations, baby. Uh, but you've done a lot of the things, or maybe you never wanted to, right? How many of us never wanted to have kids? How many of us had kids from pressure, but we never actually wanted them, and now we regret having kids? How many of us either never wanted to get married, but we feel the pressure to get married? Or how many of us um, are married and we don't want to be? How many of us got married because it was the right thing to do? How many of us got married because it was the respectable thing? And then to do anything outside of that, oh, folks is queued up. They are, and you already know it, right? Because that's what you're scared of. The stigma, being called this, that, and the third. So today's topic of how exactly does emotional alchemy work is a sensitive subject. And it's a really critical subject if you need to be free. If you need to be free. If you're ready to live your exceptionalism. How many of you know yourself to have been exceptional, and you've made a series of key decisions that's placed you into the normal life that cuts away at your exceptionalism? Right? You remember yourself. You are exceptional. The way you think, your creativity, right? You remember how your spark, your knowing, your capability, your vivaciousness, and that it never goes away. It just goes dormant with each decision that you put on top of it to do the right thing, to make sure you fit in, you don't get called names, you don't lose out and get punished by not getting a husband or a wife, by not being able to get the job, by not being it, you don't get invited to things. You just pile on top of that vivaciousness, that exceptionalism that was always there. And then so perhaps today you're 35, 45, 55, and you're neurotic. You're neurotic. You're afraid of what's going to come out of you because everything that's in the way of your exceptionalism and your vivaciousness, that's you. But then on top is all the layers of everything you've built up. And in that building up, with the decision to marry that person, the decision to do the job thing, the decision to move here, the piling on top of an emotion came with that. You made a decision. Maybe you felt like you had to. It was the right thing to do. Da, da, da. And with that was an emotion. I don't want to, but I have to. I know it's not ideal, but it's better than that. I don't really want to, but we have kids. I don't really want to. That's not me. I don't like it. And then the resentment is another emotion that's often in there. Contempt. Ooh, that's another one that's often in there. And it's just for years that thing has been baking, 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 baking. They've been built up. They've been built up. And so now, so many women that I work with are brilliant, just brilliant. And I know this is true for men too, but because I work with women, I'm talking about women right now. Just, it's insane. It's wild. Just, we could do so much. We could do so much. And because I've accepted that a lot of women just aren't going to do what it takes, it's helping me so much. It's helping me so much more now that I've accepted this. And there are those who are ready, who are willing, millions of women actually. There may not be any in your world yet. You will meet them, especially if you come into my community. But there are millions of women who are now ready and willing. Right? They've done all the right things and they're not fulfilled. And they're now ready to do this deeper work because it's going to be deeper work, sweet people. It's going to be much deeper work. It's work that is frowned upon. It can feel exhausting. It can feel overwhelming. You can feel like you're going crazy. And what you're doing is, before I get into exactly what is this and how does it work, what's happening is think about what it took for you to get to where you are today on an emotional level. Okay. Think about all the decisions that you've made. I know this is deeper thinking that would be required, but in a small way here and now, what I said, all the decisions that you made on top of your brilliance that took you away from your brilliance. Okay. Because each decision you make in the direction of your brilliance, it expands you. It just, it's beautiful. Just think about when you make decisions toward your heart's desire, toward what lights you up, what makes you come alive, and how much life is happening, right? And then just think about when you make decisions away from your brilliance, when you make fear-based decisions on have to, on obligation, how much life starts to feel constricted and drab and and you don't want to do it. And then resistance starts to kick in and scarcity gets louder. And before you know it, how did I get here? You see what I mean? So, with every decision, just think about every decision you made up till now. There was an emotional movement, an energetic direction that took you there, that lands you where you are today. And in order to get back to your vivacious exceptionalism, you have to move through the gauntlet of emotion again. But only this time you're doing it consciously. It's not a have to. It's not because if I don't, I'm not gonna find a man. If I don't, my mama gonna say I'm not being responsible. I'm not gonna get a job. It's not now. It's because you're an adult, conscious, and you're saying I'm choosing my life. I'm choosing vivaciousness. I'm choosing myself, and in choosing myself, everybody around me wins. I mean, are you a better mother, a better friend, a better wife when you are vivacious? Are you not? Are you a better CEO? Are you a better friend? Are you a better listener? Are you a better lover? Are you a better being when you are vivacious, when you are on about life, when you are a yes, when you are taking care of yourself, when you are doing the deeper work that opens up your energy centers because you're no longer doing all these have to, obligatory, constricting, scarcity, fear based decisions. So, on the way back, going from where you are now, so basically, what I'm saying is you're in hell right now. Hey, we can start right here, right now. That's a part of emotional alchemy, is admitting the truth of your reality. Okay? Admitting the truth of your reality and that where you are right now, you made every decision to get there, no matter what it looks like, good, bad, indifferent. Da, 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 da. We can point to your parents all day. That's gone. That's gone. Okay? Where you are right now is evidence of your decision making. Okay. Now, if you're looking at that through a negative lens, it's like, but if you're looking at that through a positive lens, through a powerful lens, you say, if I made the decisions to get here, I can make new decisions to get me there because you've always had the power. Always. Okay. So let me define alchemy on an emotional level. Because historically, it was about turning lead into gold. Emotional alchemy is taking everything about you that you experience as horrible. And this is on the negative front because there's positive as well. I'm talking about on the negative front to get you back to your vivaciousness, your life giving ability, your ability to create, your ability to be so, oh my God, people can't even believe. Are you really that positive? Like, are you really that happy? Like, are you really that abundant? Because it is really exceptional for, like, just think about the last time you met somebody that was just so, oh my God, I love when this happens in my life often. People who are genuinely vivacious, like they're whole people. They're not thrown by negative, positive. It's like such ownership of the allness of life. And how when you walk away from them, you feel reflective, you feel refreshed. It's like, that's how you'll be when you do this work. And it's also, if you're serious about this and you want structure and love and skill, been doing this for almost 13 years, working with women. November, it'll be 13 years next month. It's wild. You should most definitely come to my womanhood initiation. We're having three. The first one is happening this coming Sunday. So if you want the structure, the community, the love, and this is only if you're serious, okay? So to begin the vetting process, you go to the link in my bio, click Womanhood Initiation, read the details, watch the video, and if it's a yes, make your way over, okay? Anyway, so the process of turning everything that you perceive as horrible about your reality, fill in the blank, right? Your financial reality, the man in your life or the men who you attract, your body, shame. That's a big one right there. That's huge, massive, massive, huge. Shame is huge and massive. Shame about anything and everything. Shame about regretting your children. Shame about decisions you made 10, 20 years ago. And this stuff goes so deep. And that's why it's so important to have a container because we are oftentimes in very selective amnesia and we just forget that we forgot. Okay, I want to imbue you right now with love and knowing that there's a kind of love you got to have for yourself to even do this because it's something about it is so it just doesn't feel good. It can just not feel good a lot. And if you have a tendency to get buried by your own negative emotions and be swallowed by them and then, start to hallucinate, like forgetting is a kind of hallucination. So you hallucinate and you just say, fuck it, right? If you have a tendency to do that, so much that's powerful about you that lives at that vivaciousness level, you never get to because you don't have the space, the capacity, the skill to be able to handle the intensity of what doesn't feel good about the reality of your inner world. Okay. And remember, so much of what we have agreed to is because we feared punishment. See, you got to remember how all this is connected. Like, why? Remembering that all this, so much of this most of it was laid down before we were even born. Okay. So don't like take it on. Like you did it. Like, yes, you made choices, but also listen, if you're in an environment where it's like if you're raised in the hood, right? And there's violence, you're gonna have to choose. Your environment, you gotta choose who you're going to be in that environment. Now, maybe your choices didn't yield you your ideal reality now, but you made those choices. And the reality of all that and the choices you made that got you here may not feel good, especially when you start digging into shame. Uh, so I'll bring up sexual abuse now. I'll bring up sexual abuse and any abuse, really, verbal abuse, um, Mothers who didn't want to give birth to, especially if your mom, depending on how old you are, you know, um, so a lot of women before abortion became legal just gave birth because they were pregnant and they didn't want their kids. And they were mean. I've had clients who've had very mean mothers. And so when a child, men too, boys and girls who have mean mothers, that can ruin a human for the rest of their life. And the work to become whole when you were raised by a mother who did not want you, it is just so, I, it's extremely difficult. It's horrible. It requires such sensitivity and fragility and presence because your mom is it's your connection to life. It's your bond. It's your greatest bond. And a lot of even women today regret having children, and the children feel that. And I had a former client. This woman was in her 60s. I still am a master sex shame healer. I just don't promote myself as that. And in 2014 is when I started marketing myself as a master sex shame healer. And this 60-something-year-old white woman was my first big client. She found me on Facebook, and I had a podcast at the time called Unapologetic Womanhood. And she found me on Facebook, and then something she saw on Facebook led her to my podcast, and she listened to my podcast, and she sent my company an email, and we started working together. When I started working with her, this was the first time I had a client who was old enough to be my mother. So if she's 60 something, then her mother, right, right. You could do the math on about when her mom was alive. And this is a woman who was sexually abused. And, oh, I could cry right now. This is why I say there's a love of self that needs to be present, because when you start excavating yourself and doing this emotional alchemy, and I'm going to complete what exactly it is and all that. When you become sincere, and you notice I use the word sincere a lot because a lot of women try to do this work alone, and you can get a certain level of growth alone. She had, other women have, and many things happen. Primary things happen. One, you don't get far. So you oftentimes quit. But then also, remember I told you when you like start to drown in your own emotions because we are selectively forgetting things all the time because we want to get along in life, right? When you have a man in your life, father, uncle, whoever, right, who starts abusing you at 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, there's a part of you that shuts down. And that's oftentimes where your vivaciousness is, where your life, your creativity, the you that is just an easy manifester, that right, loving and just alive. When you start to get tampered with at a young age like that, it's instituting a distortion in your system because it's wrong, but you're not fully understanding everything that's happening a lot of times. So what it does is it starts to implant a distortion in the whole system, and there's a kind of unconscious shock that occurs inside of the system of the child. And so the child goes into a kind of deep internal withdrawal and forgetfulness in order to be able to get along, because remember, you're under these big people who give you food, loving, housing, right? And you don't know, you're not fully developed yet. And so you become withdrawn, and there's a kind of locked shock that happens. It's deep inside, there's a withdrawal, there's a locked shock, there's a forgetfulness. And so that could happen at 5, 7, 12. So there's a kind of lock, there's a sort of amnesia, and there's a sort of shock that's in the system of the being. So then when you become, let's say, 33, right? 43. Now you've gotten married, you've had kids, you've done all these things. You may or may not have told your spouse. I have clients whose spouses don't even know, the man and the woman, right? The spouse. And you start doing this work by yourself to get free in whatever way you feel called to at that age, right? Maybe you start reading a book. Maybe you go to a workshop on healing your heart. Maybe your friend invites you to some retreat in Bali. Maybe you come across some videos on YouTube and then you call yourself going to do this thing you heard about on this video on YouTube. And then you start to touch that spot that you locked at 7 years old. The very same feelings and the high sensations that happen then start to come up, and you don't know what to do with it. So you'll drown in your own emotions and you'll say, fuck it. And you'll stop and lock again. Okay. This is often what happens, and it's all internal. Nobody knows it's happening but you. You don't know what to do with it. Then you go see a therapist. Oh, God. And let's not go there. This very same woman was seeing a therapist for over a decade by the time she got to me. Okay. So oftentimes therapists don't know alchemy. See, alchemy is critical. That's why I say alchemy is critical. It's literally the difference between healing and not, like real healing. And y'all know what I mean, because some of y'all been like, I've been working on this for 10 years. Why is it still here? I thought I was over this. I've been working on this for 10 years. No, you just been journaling about it, thinking about it, going to a therapist about it, ruminating about it, but you haven't alchemized it. And alchemy for a woman, especially, is physiological. And we know in therapy, it's against the law for them to touch you. It's just too much regulation in therapy, which is part of the reason why I never became a certified therapist. Once I learned about the regulation, I said, no, there's no way. So, but apparently it works for a lot of people. For this woman, it didn't. And for many people, it does not. So, this is the self-love is so important because when you start to hit spots in you, now that example was sexual trauma, but it could be any kind, it could be somewhere where your mother said something to you that caused you to collapse when you were 8. It could be something your dad did to you at 12 that made you shut off a vital part of you. Okay, it could be any number of things. When that thing gets hit, when you're doing this work, because it's gotten hit at other points in your life, but you washed over it, you ignored it, you pushed it away, you got away from the situation, you avoided. And this is how so many people end up in realities of they feel like a prison because they make a series of decisions that make sure the truth of them never gets to come out. You can't hear me? Uh-oh. Hold on. Does this mean it's dead? Can you hear me? I don't know if this means I need to plug it up. Back on, okay. All right. I don't know if this means the battery is dying, but if the sound starts to trip again, I'm gonna pull the thing out and just use the mic on the phone. But anyway, we'll just leave it here for now. So I'm not sure what the last thing is you heard, but I was talking about how important self-love is. And um, I was saying that I use the example of sexual abuse, but this okay, all right, all right. So never mind, it's dead. Okay, so we'll just use the mic, the phone mic. Can you hear me? Can you all hear me now? Okay, good. And the lawnmower is going, so we don't have to worry about the background noise. So I was saying that although I just used the example of sexual abuse and how there's a sort of lock inside the child that they carry into adulthood, the lock could happen with any other number of abuses or something that felt like an assault on your being, an assault on your expression. Your mom said something about your clothes, your who you are, your dad, somebody, the church said something about who you are, and it locked you, and you went into a sort of forgetfulness. So that very vital aspect of you goes into a kind of somber, a sort of sleep. And so when you start trying to heal that, or oftentimes what you all are saying, I see it in your content, you write it in your applications to me, you say it in the community, is that you want to be free. This is the common language. I want to be free. I want to know who I am. I want to embody my full power. This is what different women are saying to me. I want to unleash my fullest self. I want to know who I really am, right? Because you've constructed a life up until this time, that is a prison of sorts, right? To make sure the deepest you that's vital, that's alive, creative, magnetic, joyful, doesn't get hit because the emotionality on the way there is you're scared of that eruption, that what's going to come out of me. Okay. So now emotional alchemy is taking all that emotionality, all that shame. Let's just put that front and center because that's a big one for all of y'all. Okay. Shame, ashamed of, basically, this is what it boils down to, the shame of being who you really are. That was implanted in you. No child is born shamed. Okay. So the shame that you imagine will come with you being who you really are. Okay. So, number one, shame. So, emotional alchemy is taking shame and turning it into light, turning it into art, creativity, authentic expression. Emotional alchemy is taking fear, is taking anything that you could perceive as negative, low, toxic, evil, wicked, bad, filthy, wrong, sinful, anything in that domain, and converting it into money, sunshine, flow, feeling good, more expansion, spaciousness, pleasure, generosity, delight, glee, forgiveness, authenticity, truth, abundance, spaciousness, all that. That is what emotional alchemy is. Now, let's talk about the physiological of this. This is what everybody is missing. People talk about alchemy so conceptually, so conceptual. See, because the atoms work like this. And see, when you take the principalities with the medicine, and then you do this, then boom, you abundant. Meanwhile, where's the abundance? Why am I still at a deep level? What? Wait. And this goes back to so many of the systems, even spiritual systems, are very masculine. We very much see spirituality through a masculine lens. We see creativity through a masculine lens. So much of our creativity and thinking is through a how efficient will it be? Can you all hear me? Okay. Um, so let's get into the physiological. Why? Because, oh, this is so good. I really want this for you all so much. And this is where I have to temper my heart because the truth is, so many, I told you, most women do not want their power. And it's just the truth of it. So, for those of you who do want your power, like if you appreciate this topic here, okay, if you're finding value here and you're ready to go from like being on a TikTok live like this, trying to grab what you can and that kind of thing, and you love yourself enough, you care enough. Remember, this is something where you're like, my precious life is worth it. I am worth it. My time is worth it. Then you need to come to my womanhood initiation. But listen, please, you need to vet yourself. Okay. The vetting process starts with your self awareness and your honesty. When you go to the link in my bio and you click it, you're going to see an option that says Womanhood Initiation. Click that, watch that video. It's a 3-minute video. Read the details, vet yourself. If after you read and watch the video, you're like, yes, this is for me. Yes, I'm willing to commit to what this says. Absolutely. I look forward to meeting you on Sunday. We're going to have 3 womanhood initiations next week. The first one is on Sunday. Okay. Vet yourself. Be honest. Be self aware. Okay. Because you have what it takes when you know you have what it takes. When you commit, when you decide to really run through the gauntlet of what this is that I'm talking about here inside of a structure, inside of container, that's what my community is. It's sustaining, it's real, it's nutrient. The energy handles so much in there because it's clean, it's honest. I'm telling you, so much in your life corrects itself by you just being honest. A lot of things that you think are problems, it's not something for you to go fix. It's something for you to just tell the truth about. There's nothing like figure it out and worried about. Tell the truth and it fixes itself. So if you're ready for this kind of cleanliness, this kind of authenticity, this sort of accountability, and other women who are doing the same, where we are actually doing emotional alchemy once a month. Our next meeting is coming up here on November 4th. We meet the first Monday of every month. So the first Monday of November is the 4th. That is happening inside of my womanhood initiation. Go up to the link in my bio, click it, click womanhood initiation, read the details, watch the video, vet yourself. And if you are a yes to yourself, please register. And I look forward to seeing your face on Zoom on Sunday. And if you're on YouTube, the link is in the description. Okay. Hey, YouTube. Any questions before I go into the physiological and why this is so, so important? And this is part of the difficult part. And what's required, like what's actually required that you can do. Any questions so far? Thank you for the likes on YouTube. Thank you for the over 2,000 likes on TikTok. No, this is not like EFT healing. This is alchemy crystal. If you're talking about tapping, no, this is not about tapping. The woman community. So the womanhood initiation that I'm talking to you about right now, that's happening 3 times next week, is free. And it's your gateway into my woman community, which is $99 a month. If you know you're not prepared to invest $99 a month, do not come to the womanhood initiation. The womanhood initiation are for women who are ready to matriculate through. It is not a course, it is a community. There's no end to it. We are live and interactive with each other every month, the first Monday of the month. So it's live and interactive. It's not a course, it's a community. It is not a course, it's a community. It is not a course, it's a community. We have our own platform off of social media where we connect. Okay. And we do alchemical work in that community. We share what we're doing, and we're together for hours. Our last meeting was over 4 hours. Okay, so we meet the first Monday of every month inside of my woman community, where the investment is $99 per month. And we do this very work that I've been talking about in today's live stream. We get down into the shame stuff, and everybody is doing this work. So you're not alone. This is the work that most of us have nobody doing in our lives. This is the work that many of us start, but we don't finish because we get swallowed by our own emotions. We don't know how to deal with intense shame. We don't know how to deal with the intensity of our erotic sexual power. We don't have anybody skilled. We don't have anybody who cares. I've reached out to Black women to join my team, to partner, and they say straight up, Naima, I don't care enough about women, about Black women to do this work. You need somebody who gives a care. You need somebody who's skilled. Okay? Skill. This is skill, people. I am the authority. You come with humility. I am the authority in this community. If you don't like that, if you already feel your blood getting all riled up because I'm going to do what I want to do because I'm grown, don't come. You stay over there with everybody else, okay? Women of color are welcome. Women of color are welcome. Women of color are welcome. Okay? This community is about authenticity. It's also about order, organized chaos. Organized chaos. Oh, our last session, we were dealing with Jezebel energy, Delilah energy. Oh, we will definitely deal with chaos in a very organized and reverent way. Okay? We deal with the truth of what's going on inside of you so you're no longer scared of yourself. So you stop running and hiding, acting like you don't know what you're doing, selective amnesia. Then you're wondering why you can't manifest, why you feel like this massive being where there's so much more to you, but somehow you're not able to create as such. Okay? We go deep. So this is what my woman community does. Okay? If you're not ready for this, if you're not ready to love yourself in this way, commit to yourself in this way, say yes to yourself in this way, be held accountable in this way, stay on TikTok and YouTube looking at videos, okay? There's nothing wrong with that. Be honest and self aware, okay? All right. Now, I'm going to talk about this first, this physiological aspect through my own personal experience, because it's the one experience that I have mastery over, okay? Now, I went through a very dark night of the soul in 2013. I've talked about this countless times on the internet over the years, where I prayed. How many of you have prayed? And when we pray, we expect good things to happen, typically, right? You pray for money, house, to heal something, and you are hoping something shows up that feels like a blessing from God, right? Because that's apparently, hold on one second. There we go. I have to do the verification. All right? Because apparently, according to Christianity, uh, or most houses that engage in prayer is like, thank you, God, dear God, thank you for everything you've done for me. Um, you know, I need this. I whatever, or some version of this for many of us, right? Or even getting to a prayer when things are bad. Right? So anyway, I was praying because at the time I knew there was more for me, but I just couldn't grasp it. Anybody know that feeling? I knew there was more, and I was working so hard. This was 2013, at the end of 2012, actually, I started praying like this. I was working so hard. I was relatively new to coaching. Remember, I came into the industry in 2011. And I came in green and naive, like most of us, totally unaware of how much the unconscious mind is affecting my behavior, how much my wealth consciousness is affecting how I'm doing everything. I have no idea. All I have is my, what one of my former members used to call ignorance on fire. Just excited, ignorant, don't know what you're doing, just excited. I'm gonna do it. Let's do it. I want to do it. Yay! Let's do it. I want to do it. And just ignorance on fire, ignorance on fire. And but my heart was in the right place. And so at the end of 2012, I was burnt out. I was just like, please show me, God, because I'm struggling. And by this point, I was starting to see other coaches who were winning. And I'm just like, wait a minute, okay. I'm doing everything that they say they're doing. I was doing telecalls. Ooh, that's old. Remember telecalls, y'all? Anybody here remember instant teleseminar? Instant teleseminar was a company where you could pay a monthly fee to have a phone line, and you could host calls with anywhere from 5 people to hundreds of people. So anybody from around the world could call in. So it could be an international call. And so that's how I used to host things in 2012, 2011, 2012, even I think 2013 and 14, I think. And so nothing was working. I was speaking a lot. Oh my God, I was so busy. I would go to like 2, 3 networking events a night. I would be speaking, and I was tired. And I was just like, God, what's going on here? Uh, what's going on? And this boom, this 7-figure coach dropped into my world. Now, I'm gonna keep her name anonymous because I don't know what else I'm gonna say. So, right. But anyway, she showed up. She was, she's originally from Europe, but she was living on the East Coast at the time, and she was coming to LA. She was going on a tour, and she was going to LA. And so, because I'm in California, I said, okay, I'm gonna go to her LA stop. So I go to this woman's LA stop. The LA stop was really like a mini workshop to enroll you into her 3-day conference that was happening in Orlando. And so I signed up for Orlando, and I was broke when I signed up for Orlando. And uh, or it was in Orlando. Okay, so I wanna first. This is where we can start to introduce um, the wholeness of alchemy, how physiological it is, how intense it is, and why I talked about earlier how so many of us drown in intense emotion, especially when you start dealing in the true power of who you are as a woman. I just can't say enough. I have told the women in the community we haven't even started because it's such a well that sits inside of each woman. Each woman literally is like walking around as a vault. Vault is a better word. It's like a vault of power. And we have bombs sitting around, all of us, all women, okay, have vaults. Each woman has a different degree of power. Okay. So we're not all the same, but we all have a vault. Okay. Each woman has like trip bombs around the vault that she walks around with. It's like, like men, men who like at war, you've like seen where they have like where they retreat and then they set up like bombs outside of their retreat. So if somebody comes past the clicker, they blow up in order to keep men out from their territory, right? Women walk around nuclear. Women walk around like that, where you have a vault of power inside of you. It's deeply emotional. It's a vortex. And over the years, you erected your own nuclear bombs. You put them there. You put one there at 4, 7, 12, 15, 21, 27 years old. When you got the signal from mom, from dad, something he said, she said, the church said, that if you show this, you will be punished. If you show this, you will be punished. If you do this, you will be punished. If you say this, express this, tell the truth, you will be punished. So, in order to make sure you were safe, you put a bomb right here to make sure that in you doesn't come out. You put a bomb right here to make sure that doesn't come out. You put a bomb right here to make sure that doesn't come out. So then when anything comes into your space that feels like it's going to hit the bomb, your human mind sees that as a trigger. Okay? You triggered me. What's being triggered? What's being triggered here? What exactly is being triggered? Especially when you have perfected lying somewhere in your life, or because you built up a life that's based on making sure you don't get any punishment and no truth of you comes out. So you select the man who supports you in hiding. You select the job that supports you in hiding. You selected everything that supports you in hiding. So then you call yourself being whatever, right? You want to go create content now. You want to do something in your life inside of this imprisoned state that you might not see as imprisoned, right? Because remember, you're in a whole hallucinated, forgetful state. Now you're creating content and somebody says something in your comments or in your live, or you fear them saying something, or you fear being found out or being seen through, that the thing that they would say would come hit up against one of your bombs that you erected a long time ago to make sure you stayed enclosed over here. You'll get riled up like somebody invading your territory. Like, then you want to go defend and protect your bomb and enforce it because you created this whole life with a bunch of bombs and you imprisoned yourself to make sure no punishment happens, to make sure I get a husband, a good life, my job, I belong, I'm a good woman, I'm nice, I'm kind, I'm the acceptable kind of feminine. I don't ruffle any feathers. So you erect and you just walk around with this vault. And that's why I said earlier, so many melanin dominant women are just like taking time, just neurotic, smiling, working, busy. You busy, you got the kids, you busy, superwoman. You doing all the things and you're a ticking time bomb because everything is down in your vault, locked up behind all your bombs. It's just okay. So when I was at this 3-day conference, 3-day business conference, there was so much alchemy going on and I didn't even realize it. So here's what was happening. I want to illuminate this is how we can start to grasp experientially, because that's what you all are going to have to engage in, actual experiences. This is not just a journaling thing, a thinking thing, a like talk to my therapist thing. This is something you have to actually go interact with all the bombs you erected decades ago. Okay, and this is why my community is here, so you have a safe place to start touching on your bombs without worried about one of them bitches exploding at your job, exploding with your man, exploding, and then you got to go clean it up and apologize, and then go back into your prison because you feel like you caused damage and harm and you hurt people. Now you feel ashamed and you're scared you're gonna do it again, so you just go back inside of you. Those days are over, over. This is what my community helps you do. All right. So it's really high level. And it's for you if you care about yourself at this level and you're ready to get rid of all of these bombs so you can be free and you don't have to be worried about what's going to come out of me, what's going to happen, what I'm going to say, can I handle it? Am I going to lose this? What I'm going to look, can I handle it? What people going to say? And just neurotic, just hiding, trying to call it you being feminine and you're hiding. You're hiding behind your husband. You're hiding behind the job. You're hiding behind the weight. You're hiding behind the kids. You're hiding behind all that because you're afraid of what's going to happen when you actually come out. What bomb that you laid down at 7 years old is going to blow up and you're going to feel that shame all over again? What bomb did you lay down at 12 years old that's going to blow up and people going to see this thing that you've been struggling with since you were 15 years old? What's going to blow up where now I look like an irresponsible woman when I'm supposed to be a 45-year-old married mother who knows what she's doing and she's emotionally responsible and I have it together and I'm smart and responsible and I'm a wife and I'm mature and I'm too old for this shit and all that. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Okay. I've been working with women, and prior to me working with women for 13 years, I had a fashion marketing company. And although we were working with fashion and marketing, when you're talking to women, their real life is coming up. I've been dealing with women for a long time, and women are adult doing very adult things, paying mortgages, feeding families of 3, 4, 5, 6, married for years, live in nice houses. On paper and on the internet, they look like responsible, mature, got it together women, and they are a wreck inside. They're hiding behind the kids, they're hiding behind the husband, they're hiding behind being a feminine wife, they're hiding behind weight, they're hiding behind doing all, and they know. They're gonna keep putting on for everybody else, but they know. And it's typically not until she gets sick, something has to happen. Either she gets divorce papers out of the blue because she's walking around very neck up, her husband starts cheating, or she gets sick, some kind of big illness that then she wakes up and the forgetfulness that she was in starts to come back. And then she'll have to deal with that in whatever way she decides to deal with that. So anyway, that was an elaboration I felt like was useful, and I see some people are, you've shared some appreciation about that. So alchemy and intense emotion that you're gonna have to traverse. And this is what I mean. Okay. So this conference was hyper high level. Now I saw somebody in here said level up earlier, right? And we're constantly hearing level up, high vibration. And it sounds so attractive, doesn't it? Like, yeah, I want that. Yeah, I want to level up. Of course. I want to get my frequency up. I want to level up. Share the live stream, folks. Thank you so much for sharing the live stream. If you're finding value, please share it. Yeah, I want to level up, right? So this conference was very much level up. This woman brought in a DJ who was playing high vibration music. The check-in tables had beautiful flowers. Thank you for sharing, Erica. The check-in table had beautiful flowers. The tables we were sitting at in the actual conference room had beautiful flowers. Thank you for sharing, Jazz. The colors were like pink and orange, so they were very vibrant colors. She was dressed fabulously. The room was airy. What else? It was at a really nice hotel. It was in Orlando during spring. The weather was nice. What else? Oh, she had us hugging. She was playing amazing music. beginning, middle, and end. She had us hugging each other. She had us speaking positive affirmations out loud. You know how the speaker would be like, say this or that, from the stage, right? She was doing all that. It was just like positive on positive on, it was just like all this high vibration. And then afterwards, we're having lunch at the restaurant at the hotel. I think I went and had like something to drink because I was broke and ended up going to get bread and peanut butter from the grocery store across the street. Okay. And but it was all this high vibration, high vibration, high vibration, high vibration. Now, I also was so broke that I ended up getting a hotel that was, I don't know, maybe 5, 7 miles from the hotel. So I was taking a taxi to my hotel after each day because it's a 3-day conference. So after night two versus 3 days, so after the second day, I'm high as a kite, all this high vibration. Go back, I take the taxi back to my hotel room, and I'm just in this room by myself now, just like, hi, like, what do you do? Oh my God, this has been an amazing day. Oh my God. Now, keep in mind, I have been praying for God, please show me because I can't, I'm tired. Show me how to do this. I'm doing everything. I had hired some lady for a few sessions, right? And I remember my whole body feeling overwhelmed with energy, just enormous. Okay. Now, you perhaps have heard some version of either the same wall you put up to keep out pain also keeps out joy. You've heard some version of that, right? Um, you've heard that the depth of feeling you go in negative, right? Like deep pain, deep struggle, deep trauma, deep suffering. Also, it hollows you out. It spaces you out to also be able to experience its opposite when you let it. You've heard this before? Let me know in the comments. And this is why what I really learned when I was marketing myself as a master sex shame healer and working with women, and I didn't finish about her too. The point I wanted to make about how deep we bury things. That's why I brought up my client, um, the 61. I don't remember exactly what she was, 60 something, but she had buried it so deep. And she did a video saying she didn't even realize how deeply she had buried her memories of sexual abuse, and she didn't realize how deep it was until she and I started working together. And this is why I even brought up sexual abuse and how it cuts through. And when we start touching those areas to get our vivaciousness back, why you need somebody with skill and who cares. Okay. So so I'm telling you now, somebody said first time hearing, right? So uh my experience working with so many women, including myself, who are healing sexual trauma truly, truly, not just journaling and going to see a therapist and crying, but actually doing deeper alchemical work, is that most people look at people who have experienced trauma and they automatically start looking at them as like, oh my God, poor thing. I'm so sorry. And treating them like these fragile, broken things who need to be treated like delicate flowers because they're so broken. And they've been so traumatized and so hurt. And oh my God, when really they are the strongest. They are actually the strongest. It's just inverted. They are and what happens is when a person is not really ready to heal, oh my God, they will eat that up. You start treating them like delicate small things who need to be handled like children. They'll be like, yes, because people shouldn't do that to children. They will eat it up. Because they're getting attention. You're paying attention to them, you're with them, they get to stay in victim and all of that. But if somebody really wants to heal and you come to them with that, they out. They see one, that you lack skill. They don't see that they see that you don't know this, that you see them as this weak, small, fragile thing who, are you sure you want to talk today? Because I know trauma can just be so disabling. I'm so sorry that happened to you. You know, out when somebody really wants to heal. Okay. Ah, Alex. Hi, Alex. Alex said I'm a badass. Me and the fact that this happened is the hardest part. I couldn't handle the coddling. Yeah. Okay. So the depth, I shared that to talk about the depth of any direction emotionally on an alchemical level prepares you for its equivalent in the other direction. This is why I'm even sharing this. Okay. So I'm in this high, high place energetically. I'm not aware of alchemy at this point, the level that I am now. And all of a sudden, I start to, there's a kind of hallucination. I like, I'm getting hot. I don't, it's almost like I'm starting to lose awareness of where I am. Like the energy starts to feel too high and it's big. And I remember part of me wanted to just run out the room. But something in my spirit said, stay in the room. And I stayed in the room. And I was just like, oh my God. And I sat on the bed and I was trying to get myself together and I couldn't. And I remember I ran to the bathroom, to the mirror to just look at myself because I was trying to get with what was happening. Okay. So I just started looking at myself in my eyes, deep in my eyes. And it's like I saw all of me for the first time. See, I was in this high vibration by myself, and I was able to look at myself without running from myself, without going to TikTok to get it off me because, or collapsing underneath it because, what is this? Or somehow converting that into fear because it's unknown and it feels too intense. Get it off me. What's happening? Go drink, go eat. And this is what some of y'all are doing, have done when your emotions get intense and you lack the skill and the presence. You want to hurry up and go get on TikTok. You instantly convert it into a negative because you don't have the skill of alchemy. You don't have the skill of alchemy. This is another reason why you need to come to my womanhood initiation. Listen, you can go off and try this by yourself. You can do whatever you want. It's your life. What I'm saying is, if you're ready to do this for real, 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 or you're not saying, I've been healing this for 10 years. I'm going to see my therapist again. Okay. Go to the link in my bio, click it, and register for the Womanhood Initiation if, after you watch the video and read the details, you are a yes. Okay? And again, if you're on YouTube, that link is in the description. So I saw all of myself and I was in a mystical state. And I was so held. And remember, I had prayed. Remember, I went to this 3-day business conference with intent. I went with intent to expand. I went with intent to level up. I went with intent to figure it out. And I struggled to get there. I told y'all I got peanut butter and bread from the grocery store across the street to eat because I didn't have money for food. I got a hotel miles from the hotel because I couldn't afford the actual hotel. Okay. I got some super cheap flight because I was committed. I was serious about changing my life, about monetizing my coaching. Because how many of y'all, you constantly are talking about you want to help people? That was me too. You can't even last in coaching without truly leveling up on the inside. You can't. Nobody can last for years online, creating content, helping people without leveling up. So what is moving you through? A pure heart, a genuine desire to help yourself and other people, and a commitment to the long game. And when you are truly committed to the long game, you do things like buy bread and peanut butter so you can attend this conference on the other side of the country that you can barely afford to go to. You do stuff like when it gets intense, when it gets difficult, instead of running and leaving and abandoning ship, you maintain your commitment and you're like, what is this? What? And I went to that mirror and I saw all of myself. And it was the first time in my life that I said out of my mouth, oh my God, I'm the devil too. Oh my God, I'm the devil too. My eyes was bloodshot red. It's like I saw all the way through me into multiple dimensions. Up until that point, I was a good person who wanted to help people. See, I'm so good. Why can I? See, because I'm kind. See, I'm such a good person. I'm a good person. Of course, look at me. I'm helping people. Look at me. I didn't see the self-hate in myself. I didn't see the shame flooding through me. I didn't see how much I hated white men. I didn't see how much I was self-loathing and disgusted with the reality of Earth. None of that. I didn't see how much I wanted to fuck certain motherfuckers up. None of that. Until I said yes, I committed, I prayed, I was sincere, and my actions reflected that. And then, because this is where a lot of y'all missed the mark, I kept going where it was difficult. Again and again and again and again and again and again and again. Is your life worth you pursuing again and again and again and again? Or is your life only worth you looking at TikTok lives, looking for quick fixes? And if I don't figure it out in 6 months, well, if it don't come cheap, free, easy, well, it ain't for me. Because if God wanted it for me, he know my situation. Imagine if I said that about that conference. Well, God know I need to eat at the conference, so he must not want me to go if I can't afford food. God must not, that must not be for me, because God wouldn't want me struggling to pay my rent to go to this. This ain't for me. You tell me. This is why I'm saying not every woman wants her power. A lot of women rather give it to their husband, rather keep that vault tamped down, get into a performative idea of femininity, cook, clean, give him sex here and there, be a mom, let him run it. She never has to get to know herself. She never has to know her power. She never has to meet those bombs that she laid down decades ago. She never has to feel that shame that she felt that she would have to move through again to return to her vivaciousness. I don't want all that. I can't, I don't want to too much. I'll play this part here that makes me a wholesome woman. Hi guys. Because I'm a good woman. I'm such a good woman. See, because I'm wholesome. See? Yeah. I need to plug up my phone, y'all. 1 second. Somebody said something about questions. Sure, come on. Crystal asked, I'm going to read the questions out loud for YouTube. Crystal has asked, is healing from extreme trauma possible? It is absolutely possible if you are sincere about healing extreme trauma. Notice how often I use the word sincere. I'm telling you, sincerity cracks through walls in a way. It lives in the domain of faith. Sincerity lives in the domain of faith. Sincere. And you cannot lie to yourself. When you're sincere, baby, you can crack through walls, you can move things, you can penetrate things with just being sincere. Here, you mean it. You not mean it if this happens. You don't mean it as long as. You don't mean it if. You don't mean it maybe cause. You don't mean it if this work out, if that's. You mean it. No matter the circumstance, no matter what's going on, no matter what happened, you are sincere. If you are at that level about your healing, Crystal, you most definitely can heal from extreme trauma. Canal said, I know too many women like that. Yeah. And after doing this work for so long, and I'm not finished talking about what exactly is emotional alchemy, I'm going to be here for some time. Because the physiological aspect is so important for women because uh, we it's important that we here's some things that particularly recently have nourished my hope. One, COVID, surprisingly, right? Let me tell you why. But COVID, Barack becoming president, if Kamala becomes president, even if she doesn't, um, seemingly supernatural things. Here's why. The majority of humans will not maintain a vision of major change on the planet. The majority of humans will not maintain a vision of a major change on the planet. Keep in mind, all the major changes we've seen in the world have not been because the masses led the way. It's been because a small, and I'm going to get to these questions in a moment, is because a small group of people, 2, 3, 5, held onto a vision that didn't make any sense. Like if we just look around at, it depends on what you're looking at too, but if we just look at a lot of the negativity and fear going on, it's easy to be like, the world is going to hell. This shit is, right? It's a mess, right? It's easy to be like that. So most humans are not going to hold an optimistic vision and forecast that thing and hold it and move according to that vision. Nobody would have thought COVID. Let's just illuminate this real quick to put some perspective on, because humans just forget so easily, so many things. Let's remember before COVID. Let's remember January 2020. COVID happened in March 2020. Let's go to January. Do you remember your life in January 2020? Do you remember 2019? How your life looked? What your life was like? Right? Somebody say, yeah, my life was beautiful, right? Like what life was like, right? Or even before 9/11. We can go back that far. Just any like major things that changed the world. But I want to look at the positive, because 9/11 can send you down but positives, right? And I'm like, how are we connecting this? We'll see. And in just a week, 2 weeks, the news was dropped what, March 8th or something like that, March 18th, something like that. News was dropped about COVID, and just like that, the whole world was on lock. Wasn't that regardless of, we could point to, because the setup of it all. Point to Barack becoming president, right? Folks from the Jim Crow era, minds were blown. They were like, I can't believe I'm alive to see a black man be president, right? But I'm talking about enormous things happening in our lifetime. Enormous. And I'm like, what was that? I was asking a question about, oh, the possibility, because somebody asked, but did somebody ask something else? Oh, is extreme trauma. Oh, the possibility of things. Yeah, okay, now I'm going off. Let me condense this, okay? Because I am going to come to your questions, okay? Um, Systems that were not in place, that people, companies, schools were having trouble implementing, businesses, ideas. Suddenly, with COVID present, the same idea that they were saying no to a year ago, suddenly they're willing and able. What's different? Just the circumstances. Okay. They could have did it a year ago, but they are choosing to do it now because the whole world is shut down. The possibilities that exist all the time. So that was, I think, an elaboration on what somebody saying about. I felt like it was connected to something else, though. Hold on. Healing from extreme trauma. I think I was wanting to get at the possibility of things when you actually hold that as sincere for you. All right, so let me move on to the questions. Okay. Tazia, something about you feels very immature. So I want you to think before you ask your next question, if you want to ask your next question. You might need to just go watch videos on TikTok for now. Where, Erica? Where are you needing a deeper breakthrough? How do you feel about explaining the unknown you experienced to family? And I know I cannot change. So, Endless Growth asked, how do I feel about explaining the unknown we've experienced to family? And I know I cannot change. So, as I ask that question out loud, Endless, what comes to you? How do you know? No, how do you feel about explaining the unknown we've experienced to family? And I know I cannot change minds, but I would really love to be understood in a way I can't explain from the ones I love the most. That's really good. So, what do you hear when I read that back to you, Endless? Does an answer come to you when you hear me read that out loud? At this point, I know I cannot change someone's perspective, but to spark a change means so much. Yeah, you being you sparks change, Endless Growth. Especially you being you, where it may feel difficult to be you. For all that I've been through, but I know sometimes all it takes is one sentence to change a life. You save the world by saving yourself. You save the world by you leveling up. You save the world by taking care of yourself. I'm going to reiterate what I said over an hour ago. Aren't you a better mother, lover, sister, friend, teacher, listener, being when you are well taken care of? When you are full of life? When you are joyful? Over here, this is not at all, not at not at all about women going out and doing some superwoman saving the world. Not at all. Not at all. And if that's what you heard, You might want to question yourself. Um, I want you to clean up your sentences, Erica, because they're not very clear. And I know you really want to get something across. Emma said, it's extremely hard to be around my fam and the way they are and still being me. Yeah, so let this is I think this is a great gateway, endless growth. Endless growth, what's your name? Hey, Crystal. So let's deal with that physiologically, because remember I said I want to talk about alchemy physiologically for women because it's so important. So this is actually vast and something that we can go deeper into inside of our meeting. For those of you who make it through, who come to the womanhood initiation and then actually come into the community, uh, highlight this, pinpoint it, and then bring it to our meeting on the 4th of November. Okay, the 4th of November. We'll be meeting at 9 a.m. Pacific on the 4th of November. No, actually, I think we're going to meet on Tuesday because I'm going to be traveling. So, but anyway, it's either going to be the 3rd or the 4th. But if it is the 4th, it's only because I'll be traveling. Okay. Um, because this is deep in nuance and I really want to make it personal and I want you to be able to talk out of your mouth and I want you to be seen by everybody. And part of the alchemy and our work together is you taking things up the vibration, speaking it, being seen, witnessed. That's a big part of cementing alchemy. I'm not going to get into that today, but a big part of cementing alchemy is being witnessed. Can I get a witness? Okay, there is spiritual processes in being witnessed by particular people. That's why you can talk about something with somebody who doesn't have the capacity or the fortitude, and it's like you're talking and they're there, but it's not having the alchemy that you want. You're not having the experience that you want because they're not the right people. This is the kind of respect. This is why I hold the standard that I hold because I respect this. You got to respect this. That's why it's not just about marrying somebody. If you don't marry, whether it's a spiritual marriage or a traditional marriage, I'll leave that over there. Being witnessed by the right people or person. Anyway, so to get at this, Crystal said that it's extremely difficult for her to be who she really is in front of her family. And I'm guessing, Crystal, it's because they what aren't evolving. They are used to you being a certain way. And correct me if I'm wrong. Um, and so, a few things. One, woo, there's different angles to hit this at. One, wherever you are shaky inside of yourself, consciously or unconsciously. And what I mean by shaky is you think you're solid in yourself around your particular way of being. You think whatever, right? And I don't know if you think this, but this is oftentimes the case when we're around people and we call it extremely difficult to be ourselves around them because it's not difficult to be myself around anybody. Not my family, not strangers, not clients, not men, not women, not young people, old people, hood, corporate, nobody. Why? Because I'm solid in here. Now, solid in here doesn't mean perfect. Solid in here just means you're in ownership of everything that's conscious and unconscious about you. Okay. This is why I say so much of this work, the alchemical work we're doing, is making the unconscious conscious, making the unconscious conscious. I want to know. Oh, nature's wait. So, nature, are you talking about me? Because if that's the case, you can go ahead and go. Yeah, if that particular right there, yeah, you can go ahead and leave. You're very welcome to go ahead and leave. Enjoy your life. So, Crystal, where within you do you don't feel solid around your family? Because the extremely difficult part is pointing to that. You see, this is why, if you're sincere about this, if you're just asking me right here, right now, because you can for free and is easy, then you're not going to be able to really take, because there's a length we go here. When we're inside the community, I ask you deeper and deeper, and you let it in. And there's an alchemy, and then you let it in, and then you let it in, and then you let it in, and then you morph and you change. And the whole process and the witnessing, not only by me, by the others, helps cement it because it's an actual event where you're being witnessed versus this TikTok thing where I don't see you, you're not talking. There's a way that you're almost like not even really owning it because there's a separation of sorts. And I want to ask you another question, and then you have your reaction. We toss it around and we have a back and forth. Then other people who are equally involved, or not maybe not equally, but they're in the community too, like you, they give reflections, and it's a whole. This is what I see when you love yourself. This kind of stuff matters to you. It's important. You see the value, you see the necessity in your growth and your power. But when you're just like, well, whatever, then you treat it sort of distant, casual. Well, you know what I mean? You give up easy. So that's the question. And I will want to keep going with the question. Like, what makes it extremely difficult? They challenge you, they call you weird. What makes it that you feel like you're not going to belong there? What? Complete black sheep. Yeah, yeah. There you go. Okay. Yeah, you're black sheep. So where do you, there's something going on inside of you. I want everyone to know here you have the power, you always have. Now, whether you're going to own that is something else. You have the power, you always have. What's the difference between working one on one with you and working with you? If you have to ask that, one on one is not for you. I know it's a therapized type thing, but it's beyond that. But I'm more focused now upon my spirit. Okay. Any other questions? Otherwise, I'm on my way out. Lastly, I encourage you, if you have found value here and you know you're ready to commit sincerely over time, okay, because the community is ongoing, there's no end. It's an ongoing community. We meet the first Monday of every month. We also have a platform where you can bring your matters, etc. Um, come to the Womanhood initiation, okay? It's happening Sunday at 3 p.m. There's going to be three of them this coming week, okay? Go to the link in my bio, click it. I think the third option says Womanhood Initiation. Read the details, watch the video, and if it speaks to you, yes, please come humbly. Please read, okay? Um, yeah, read the details. Come humbly, come receptive. I am the authority in this space. Please know that. I am the authority in this space. If you have a problem with that, do not come, okay? The true. Ask your question right now. Ask your long question right now. or nature. I think that is that supposed to say nature? Yeah. Hmm. How do you help but also keep an alignment of wellness within yourself? What do you need? And what do you need? What do I mean, Crystal, when I say what do you need? So when you ask me, how do you help, meaning you want to help, right? You want to help people, but you also want to keep an alignment of wellness within yourself because what happens? You become exhausted working with people. What's the source of that question? You overextend. What happens? You easily lose a boundary when you're helping people. Like what's the source of that? Everything is going to come back to you. I promise you. Everything is going to come back to you. So if you're serious about you serious about your power, you serious about helping people, you serious about this, what you're talking about, and you feel called. And if you're not called to my womanhood initiation, go to the thing that you do feel called to that will help you. This is deliberate, intentional work. It's not casual. I'll look at TikTok videos and all that. Yeah, okay. So you always focus on, so Crystal asked, I'm reading this for you too. Crystal said, I'm working on that, but to be honest, my anger, she put anger in capital. And I've always been a sad and yes, overextend. Yeah, so you just look at what you need in every moment. If you already can feel that you're gonna overextend or you're overextending, just pull back. It's really that simple. You just pull back. It's that simple. Well, I don't want to pull back because am I selfish or because they need me? Is that going on? Right? I don't know. I'm asking. There were unconfirmed rumors in my family. My mother is emotionally immature, so she always make what? Yeah. So this is good, Crystal. Crystal said, in the true, that's an incomplete. So go ahead and complete. Jokes about the topic. I cut communication when I still struggle with my identity. Okay, so you got a mother wound going on. So you're and the rumors part, I'm not sure how that fits into this, but it just sounds like you have a poor relationship with your mom. Is that essentially what you're getting at here? And that poor relationship negatively affects your perception of self, your feeling of safety in the world, your willingness to be powerful in the world, powerful around your mom, be who you are. Is that essentially what you're saying? People knock on my door. Okay. A person. Okay. So this part right here about being mad and angry at everything. So I put up a piece of content earlier that said Black women and even other women too, but uh, because Black women, melanin dominant women, hold a different kind of essence and vibrational being, their impact, their wielding of their emotions has a different kind of impact. And also their withholding of the emotions has a different kind of impact too, which is part of why we lead in fibroids. Nobody else. We lead in fibroids. We die of heart disease most. Nobody else. Us. Because we don't respect who we are, the intensity of our emotions. We keep this fake submission to men, acting like there's something that they're not. I was having this conversation with my mom this morning. We just keep trying to maintain, a lot of us, too many of us, keep trying to maintain this false system of what men are. And we're dying and sick in the process. And we're going to call a spade a spade. Most men don't care. They just want you to cook, be the wife, give them the status of husband, give them kids, give them purpose. Unfortunately, that's how most of them think. If they really cared, they'd be doing something about it. When somebody cares about something, they do something about it. Okay. Just look around. Sorry. I apologize that it's so brutal like that, but that's what it is. Okay. Black women lead in heart failure among all humans. Black women lead in heart failure, heart attack, heart disease. Black women. Not Thai women, not Balinese women, not white women, not Latin women, not Asian women, not Slavic women, not British women. No, Black women lead in heart disease. Okay? We lead in fibroids. Nobody else. The billions of other nationalities and ethnicities around the world of women, and Black women lead in heart disease. Black women lead. Why? Because we don't respect the intensity of our power, the truth of who we are. We keep offloading our power onto men. They don't have the power. They don't have it. They never have. 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 And like I said earlier, everything that was laid down before you and I were born to get us to make ourselves small, or else you will be punished. And all of us are just living in that now. And now, with women fearing punishment less, and number two, no longer depending on men for food and housing, we're starting to see what happens when women stop pretending, when women stop upholding the patriarchy by their very decisions. Upholding the patriarchy by their very decisions. When you stop needing a man for food and housing, does he still feel like a man? When you stop needing a man for food and housing, does he still feel like a man? If he's a man, period, why do you need to play this part for him to feel? It's fake, people. And we keep offloading our power and we die. We've been dying. Ain't nothing new. I'm not saying nothing that your mama and your grandmama didn't know. We die. We lead in heart disease and we lead in fibroids. We're dying because we don't respect that we are the rulers of humanity. We don't respect the vast, incomprehensible power that requires respect and sincerity. It requires a kind of order of the chaos. It requires a kind of expression, exploration, and reverence. It absolutely requires it. And guess what? When you don't respect it, you die. When you don't respect it, you become imprisoned. When you don't respect it, you get heart disease. When you don't respect it, you're angry and mad all the time, like Crystal and so many Black women who walk around just seething all the time. Seething all the time. Seething all the time. This is how Black women worldwide are walking around all the time. All the time. Faking submission, faking being small, faking not knowing your power, faking being a modest, wholesome woman. While the man faking, carrying on, they lose too. Carrying on. That's what's going on around here. Okay? So you talking about you mad and you angry all the time? Are you ready to do what it takes to not be mad and angry all the time? Or you just want to sit here on TikTok as long as I'm here? Are you willing to do difficult things for the next 20 years? Or you just want to be cute and slay, bitch? So this is what I mean by most women don't want their power. It's a cost, baby, and I'm not talking about money. It's a cost. And I've been paying it and I'm going to keep on paying. Forever. You going to pay or no? Crystal, you going to pay? All of y'all in here asking me these questions. You gonna pay for your life? Or you gonna stay mad going on to people's TikTok lives looking for how to be cute? You gonna pay or you gonna stay small? You gonna pay the price year after 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 year until you leave this earth? Or you gonna keep talking about you scared? Your family don't accept you. Nobody understands you because men, because the patriarchy, because you're going to be alone. Okay, well then stay there then. Stay there because you got plenty of women who are joining you. Plenty. Go make friends with them. So, any black woman, I got something to say to you. Listen, first of all, this is why emotional refinement is important, because you're going to get to a point where a motherfucker could look at you and tell not to fuck with you. And it's not because you being mean and got a bitch face. Your insides is so solid. I don't need to be mean and be mad and walk around stoic and all this. I'm smiling. I'm pleasant. I'm dealing with folk. You ain't got to do all that, but y'all not emotionally refined. And this is part of what my woman community is for. When you're not emotionally refined, motherfuckers can say shit, throw shit. You worried about my family this, I can't. It's a lot. I saw somebody say it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. It is a lot. And guess what? It's worth it. But only you decide that. Is your life worth it? Is the rest of your life worth doing the lot that gets you free? That has you emotionally refined? That has you willing to do the work and help people the way you keep saying you want to help? That has you able to create the things, the travel, the money, the quality of life, the way of being, the deep inner peace? I want to remind you that Black women lead in heart disease. We're obese, we lead in fibroids. All of us. The married ones, the single ones, all of us. Cancer up the wazoo, the married ones and the single ones. Marriage ain't gonna save you. All of us. All of us. All of us. And unless you do this work that I'm talking about for the rest of your life, get in line, baby girl. Get in line. This is what we're up against. And we always have been. Are you going to be the generation that's going to do something different? Your mom and grandma knew, but they were living in different times. That's why your grandma was telling you to put money away and get your education. That's why for those of you who were raised by fathers who love you, what'd he say? Make sure you can take care of yourself. Make sure you can take care of yourself. These men on the internet hollering about it, none of them have daughters, or they have daughters who they're not in their life. Every man who actually raised his daughters, every man who actually raised his daughter, you don't see no, go ask them, all of 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 them, who you talking about submission. She talking about independent. That's why she gonna be single and alone. None of them have daughters. And if they do, they haven't raised them. Every man who has a daughter who he genuinely loves and raised her tells her, make sure you can take care of yourself. That's a dead giveaway that a man don't have daughters. He doesn't respect the feminine, and if he has daughters, he not in their life. If he talk like that, it's a dead giveaway. You ain't even got to ask him. Just listen to how he talk. He don't have daughters. Because when you watch your daughter come out your woman's vagina and matriculate up into adulthood, you see what women are up against, and it changes your heart, it changes your mind, it changes how you see life. And men who have daughters, they all talk a certain way. You can feel it before they even open their mouth sometimes. Men who love their daughters, you can feel it. It's in how they talk about women. It's in how they talk about the feminine. It's in how they interact with you. It's in how they talk about relationships. It's in how they talk about respect. All right. I'm going to go ahead and shut down YouTube. Thank you so much for being here. Again, if you have found value here today and you're ready to commit yourself to this level of work, go to the link in my description for the Womanhood Initiation. Read the details there, watch the 3-minute video, and if it speaks to you, go ahead and register. And I look forward to either seeing you Sunday or one of the other 2 days happening next week.